As with all other strokes, the arm pull on backstroke has a recovery and a propulsive phase. Also, as with front crawl, when performing the backstroke pull, there is an alternating arm action. Despite having an alternating arm action, backstroke is the second slowest stroke in swimming. This is due to the pull primarily relying on weaker muscles such as your latimus dorsi, upper back muscles, and your triceps. Let's look at how to perform both phases of the arm pull. The recovery phase. To start the recovery phase, you will lead with your shoulder to pull your whole arm out of the water. When exiting the water, it is best to exit with either the back of your hand or your little finger. This way you don't have to worry too much about your hand turning through the air. Although you want to keep your arm relaxed through this motion, you still need to extend your arm ready for the entry. If by halfway through your recovery phase you haven't turned your hand so that your little finger will enter first, then do so now. As your arm starts to fall due to gravity, you will need to extend your arm so that you get the full reach of your stroke and engage your muscles ready for the propulsive phase. Enter just past your ear to avoid any dead propulsive zones, and you are ready to move on. The propulsive phase. As soon as your hand enters the water, you will need to begin the propulsive phase. Start by pitching your hand diagonally up towards your feet. As you pull downwards towards your feet, start to bend your elbow. This will give your arm more leverage, which in turn will enhance the strength of your pull. Start to draw your elbow in close to your ribcage whilst pulling to ensure that you keep your body narrow. Once you have drawn your elbow in close to your ribcage, you will then need to flip your hand down past your hip and extend your arm. Do this by changing the pitch of your hand to face the bottom of the pull over an arching shape. This push-in or flip-in motion will help your shoulders roll while swimming, the importance of which will be covered in a later video. It's everyone's favourite time, and no, it's not Chico time, it's time for the common faults. Bending your arms over the water. Instead of looking like an effective stroke, bending your arms will just make it look like you're brushing your hair ready for a night out. The reason why bending your arms whilst recovering over the water is poor practice is because it means that you won't gain the full reach of your stroke. This in turn means that your propulsive phase won't be as effective due to the decreased length in the pull. An effective drill to counter this is a variation on the clockwork arm drill. For this drill, you can get yourself or your pupil to either hold a board with one hand or not. It depends on their or your swimming ability. You will have your moving arm by your side. Lift the arm up as high as possible so that it's above your chest. Once here, pause for 3 seconds. When pausing, also stretch as high as possible so that the stretch can be felt in your shoulder and back. After this, continue backwards with your arm and ensure that the stretch is maintained. When your arm has entered the water with your little finger first, pause again for 3 seconds. You will also need to stretch and lean into your arm. Continue the drill and swap arms after a length or width. When going back to perform the backstroke stroke, be sure to concentrate on the stretch throughout the recovery phase to get the full reach of your stroke. Pull in with a straight arm. Unlike the recovery phase, where you want a straight arm to increase the length of your stroke, the propulsive phase requires your arm to bend. This is to allow the power needed to propel yourself forwards. This is evident in swimmers that pull with a straight arm, as not only can you see that they don't move very quickly, but also where they are pulling the water to the side of themselves, you can see their bodies snaking. To help someone that is not used to bending their arms whilst pulling, you will need to take small steps. Begin by laying on your back and kick in with your elbows tucked into your body, hands facing the ceiling and out wide. The next step is to flip your hands down past your hips without protruding the water. Be careful here though, as you will need to keep your elbows tucked into your body throughout. When you have pushed past your hips, slowly raise your hands back up to the starting position and repeat. This will get your pupils to realise what needs to happen towards the end of the propulsive phase. When you feel comfortable with this motion, go back to single arm or normal arm backstroke and try to implement this into your pull, ensuring to always bring the elbow into your ribcage so that your arm will naturally bend. This will help keep your stroke narrower to avoid snaking and will give you more power in your pull. Not alternating your arms. This is when your arms, instead of constantly moving, they will move one then the other. In backstroke, as the top arm initiates the pull, the other arm should start the recovery phase. If this is not occurring when you swim, it will mean that you are turning the power off and then turning the power back on again, going through long periods when your arms are creating no momentum. The way to correct this is to have one arm behind you in the water and the other arm by your side. Kick for 6 kicks and then, at the same time, move both arms simultaneously so that they swap positions. Continue this through the length or width. When you feel more confident with this, reduce the amount of kicks performed to 4, then 2, and finally 0 in between. Make sure that you are kicking in between the paused periods. This is so that your body doesn't sink. If at any point you feel like you are struggling to alternate your arms, then go back to the previous amount of kicks. That's all now for the backstroke arm pull. In this video we have learnt the path that the arm should take when performing the backstroke arm pull, and also gone through a few common faults you may encounter when teaching or performing this yourself. If you have any questions or queries for the stroke, then hit me up in the comment section. I'll be happy to help. To keep up with the latest videos, subscribe to the channel here. To catch up with the latest video, click here. I hope that you have an amazing day, and I'll see you in the next one.